What I love most about colors is colors are lovers of their opposites. Violet loves the color yellow. Last week, Violet bumped into Yellow at the grocery store. Yellow offhandedly mentioned how she doesn't like when guys buy her flowers, so Violet bought a pack of sunflower seeds and said, "Look, they're not flowers exactly, but when they grow, they'll be my favorite color." Yellow blushed, and on their first date, they both had dark dirt caked in their fingernails and on the knees of their blue jeans. A love story. That's an excerpt from a poem that I performed recently. And I like it because it serves as a nice framework for what I want to do today, which is use colors and color theory as a lens through which we can view our relationships with people, specifically so that we can consciously develop and evolve how we feel about people who are different from us. Because how we feel about people who are different from us is learned. We learn it from our parents, from our grandparents, from anyone responsible for raising us. The problem with this is we are raised very black and white, because shades of gray are hard to explain. And when you're dealing with children, shades of gray are hard to understand. And so we simplify. We take a really complicated world with complicated people and complicated relationships, and we try to make it easier to understand while also avoiding all of those difficult and especially nuanced conversations. The problem with this is it leaves us more susceptible to do other things that are really black and white and really basic. One of these is to buy into social constructions, which are arbitrary, and they warrant no explanation. It's just, this is how things are. And the second is to perpetuate stereotypes, because again, stereotypes are very basic, very black and white. They don't really account for shades of gray. I consider myself lucky, because I was raised in a mixed-race home in rural, all-white, one-stoplight town in Indiana. And we got the stoplight when I was a junior in high school, and it was a big deal. So my mother didn't have the luxury of teaching us about a world that was simple or very black and white, because in this town, we were the diversity. And the things happening in our community and in our school and in our own home were all very, very nuanced. It was one big shade of gray. And so as you might imagine, you take this colorful, beautiful, biracial family and you put them in a small town in the Midwest. I've got some stories. Stories of my little sister coming home from school in tears, wishing she had lighter skin and straighter hair because that was her perception of beauty. Stories of a little boy and a pending suspension from school because he finally stood up for himself after being called a nigger over and over and over again. Stories of my family moving into a private lake community. And my stepdad, who is black, his name is Jeffrey, walks into a meeting with the homeowners association with the man who would build our house, a white man. The two of them walk in together, and the head of the HOA stands up, walks straight up to the white man and says, "Jeffrey, it's good to meet you." And the guy says, "I'm the builder, this is Jeffrey," and everyone in the room goes quiet. One time, my mom and stepdad were shopping for a washer at H.H. Gregg. No one comes to help, so my mom jokingly says, "Maybe if you go stand in a different part of the store, someone will come and ask me if I need help." And so he does, and sure enough, a customer service representative walks up to my white mother, asks, "What can I help you with?" But it wasn't all bad. I've got good stories, stories of love and acceptance, people who thought that our family's dynamics were a breath of fresh air. I saw young boys in school challenge their racist fathers and say, "You know what, Dad, I think you're wrong." I saw guys I barely knew punch lifelong friends of theirs in the face for making a nasty comment about my family. And I want to be clear, too, that it wasn't just my family against everyone else. We had issues in our own family as well. When my mom was considering transracial adoption, my great-grandmother prayed that my mom would choose to adopt white babies. But that same great-grandmother, when she held my little sister in her arms for the first time, all of that melted away. And on her 89th birthday, she hopped on the back of a motorcycle and wrapped her arms around my stepdad's waist, holding on for dear life. So the question is, how do I take 25 years of these unique experiences and these stories, and especially all the lessons that my mother was able to teach us kids about love and acceptance and forgiveness and tolerance and dealing with people who don't really understand your family's dynamics and all of these things, how do I take all of that and wrap it up into an application for us today? And I found one. And I've landed, perhaps ironically, on color theory. You see, in color theory, you've got a 12-part color wheel, and all the different ways that these colors achieve harmony with one another. And I want to talk about the two most fundamental ways of achieving color harmony. We learned about these in elementary school art class. They're very basic. The first is analogous colors. Analogous colors, if you'll recall, are any three colors that are side by side on that color wheel. You've got yellow, green, yellow, yellow, orange, or red, violet, violet, blue, violet. These are analogous sets of colors. You can think of them as neighbors. They're getting along great, all is well. They take day trips up to Charleston together. It's quite fun. It's good fun. The second is complementary colors. Complementary colors are any two colors directly opposite one another on that same color wheel. These colors couldn't be more different from each other. And it is because they are so different that they go together so well. Because maximum contrast creates maximum stability. As far as colors are concerned, opposites refine each other. They balance each other, they soothe each other, they play off each other's intensities. We aren't really like that in our relationships with other humans. We don't find people who are opposite us and create that balance, create that harmony. And I think we should. What's most amazing about complementary colors is why we find two things that are opposite aesthetically pleasing together. And the answer is in our biology. You see, in your eyes, you've got photoreceptor cells. You've got rods and cones are the ones that help you with color vision. And like anything in your bodies, if they're overworked, these cones get tired. They get fatigued. That's why if you look at a little blue square for an extended period of time, and then you look away at a plain white canvas, you're going to see what's called an after image of a little orange square. What's actually happening there is you're looking at the full spectrum of color. You're looking at all of the colors minus a little bit of blue because your eyes are sick and tired of seeing blue. And that gets perceived as orange, which is blue's opposite. Imagine if people were the same way. But we aren't. We put ourselves into little boxes. We move into neighborhoods with people who are like us. We shop at the same grocery store, send our kids to the same school, we attend the same church. We're not thirsty to be around people who are different from us, much less people who are opposite us. So my suggestion is very simple. We take that 12-part color wheel and all of those different ways that those colors achieve harmony with one another, and we exchange it for a billion-part identity wheel. Any possible way you can ever identify in this world, any way that you can finish the sentence, I am this. Race, nationality, gender, sexuality, professions, roles, hobbies, political stances, religions, worldviews, ideologies, put them all on a big giant wheel and find yourself. And then find your complementary opposite. The person that you don't understand, that you have absolutely nothing in common with, the one way over there on the other side of this giant wheel of people. And love them because they bring balance into your life. And thank them because the person that they are actually refines and stabilizes the person that you are. And perhaps most importantly, be with them. Spend time with them. Step outside of that little box because the two of you together make the world a little more beautiful and a little more bright. Thank you.